Hear
Are we
that?
three? Are we three? Yeah. Are we 359?
That is a great question. Let me look.
Because I don't feel like we're at 360 quite yet.
360 is a crazy number.
We're gonna get maybe to 400 by the end of this
Well,
season.
with future Fridays for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that we go with Topich first.
You're intrigued?
I mean, oh, it's recording. Yeah, we're at 360 waves, bro.
This is 360?
This is 360.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the 360th edition of the Holy Backboard Podcast. I am Dustin here in Rip City, and I got my man.
Sage just got to Medford, drove from Beaverton at like about 10, and I had one hell of a issue with my car. My car is the ultimate piece of shit, right?
Every time you drive that car, I send up a little prayer for you, and I'm not really even religious because I'm just like, I know how much trauma that car has caused you. It's always a jack of all. It's always like a jack in the box. You never know when that thing's gonna pop up and be like, "Ooh, we're breaking down right now."
So I had like 30 miles left on the tank. So I got into the gas station at like Cottage City. It's like the halfway point between Portland and Medford. And I got in, like I hit the lever, and I'm doing my own gas. So I hit the gas lever, nothing. I'm like, what the fuck? Hit the gas lever again, nothing. So I had to spend like 30 minutes at the gas covering of my car, scraping and scraping and scraping with my AAA card, trying to get in so I could gas up. It took me 45 minutes of looking like I'm breaking into my car with my card to get that shit open and get $30 worth of gas in.
You couldn't get the what couldn't you get open?
So the cover that you hit like the lever
Yep,
to unhook,
that wasn't popping open.
that wasn't popping open. So I had to do the AAA gas thing. And I was like, oh God, is this the 2024 version or the 2023? So I ruined the 2024 version trying to get my car open. So one day when we're famous podcasters, I won't drive my Corolla that's given me just the most amount of anxiety when driving. But you know, you know,
My
uh,
car's
uh,
like the complete opposite. Like it's 2002 Nissan Sentra. Paint it needs a paint job desperately, but I'm not going to do it. But that car, knock on wood, is an absolute saint. And when we were taking Adrian home from the hospital, it was like we got this miraculous, like small window where it wasn't freezing raining, but there was
mhm.
still so much ice and snow. And I don't have chains, but like we had to get up out of there. Like we had been in the hospital for 3 days. And I found like an old CD. I've got the defrost full blast. I am trying, and this our car's been parked outside for 3 days. It's been caked on there. So I'm out there for an hour taking a CD, the jewel case, and I'm scraping the hell off of everything. And it was a proud papa moment. I was like, we did this, and on the way home, it starts the freezing rain again, and your windshield wipers can't keep up with that. So like we're a block from home. Thankfully, no one is on the road. But I roll down the window. I've got my head out the window like a damn dog, like trying to navigate this. Olga's like, I think we should pull over. I'm like, babe, if we pull over, it's not starting up again. Like we're gonna get stuck. We just gotta go. We got just trust me on this. I've driven through snow in this Sentra. There was another snowstorm in 2017, and it took us like 8 hours from Salem to Portland.
That's me normally from
I see Subarus, I see semis. Like you go up through Lake Oswego, and it's just like a maze. And here I am in this little O2 Sentra, and I'm just like beep 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 cruising along, very slow, very steady, but like got home. So like definitely feel you on the car adventures, but I would say I love my car, whereas I can tell you want to throw your car into a trash heap.
dog. Like I've actually just never had a like they start up or whatever, but this car has been a melon. This car has been an absolute lemon, not melon, a lemon.
It starts up, but whatever.
Yeah, well, it can't go over 50 on hills, and Sexton Summit. So
You
Oregon,
got the pass, you got everything go down
yeah,
there.
bro. But I will give my car some credit. Listening to music in the car is dope. So I put on Rip the Jacker and I was like, I fuck with this. I know every word. I've known every word for years. And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm like 90 degrees and 90 miles an hour in this motherfucker just jamming. So shout out to it for breaking the law on the speed limits. But I know, I mean, it took me like, it should be a 4-hour trip. It took me like 7,
God damn, you must really love your mom to make that drive.
Yeah, I used all my miles to get back here for Christmas. I'm not dealing with that stuff. But this is not car talk. This is the 360th episode of the Holy Backboard Podcast.
Sage, the way this team is playing, I think they might want to hear more car talk, more Thanksgiving talk. Happy Thanksgiving week. Happy just get around friends and family and just stuff yourself and do nice things for others and just have fun. But yes, we are a basketball podcast, for better or for worse. The Trailblazers, I actually picked the game up on you. You thought they would somehow beat the Jazz, buddy. That didn't happen.
I still have a game lead, don't I?
Yeah, you do have a game lead on me this season. It was a pretty rough go for the Trailblazers. They concluded their just odd 3-game, 8-day road trip in Utah, losing 115-99. Offensive woes struck again in that contest as they only scored, I believe, 6 points over the last 11 minutes of action. Pretty rough scene in Salt Lake City. Wednesday, I was in attendance on a back-to-back. They kept it close, but Cleveland pulled away in the fourth quarter, 109-95. The Lakers on Friday in an in-season tournament game, which eliminated the Trailblazers from advancing, defeated our Blazers 107-95, and then just an absolute bloodbath happened on Sunday with the Thunder coming off of an impressive victory in Golden State the night before. They're coming in on the second night of back-to-back. Did not matter. 134-91, one of the worst losses in recent memory if you are a Trailblazer fan. It drops the team to all the way down the West leaderboard. They are 3-10. Only the Spurs have a worse record in the West, just by a half of a game. Lost 7 in a row. Owners of the league's worst offense still. Sage, how do you want to kick this one off?
Well, I mean, first of all, we knew the offense was going to be bad because game 1, we noticed the lack of spacing, and it hasn't improved.
So yes, this is exactly what I wanted to jump in on.
Me in spacing, the Oklahoma City game. I watched the Blazers broadcast, and they talked about usage rate, and I was like, dog, I was born to answer these questions. You knew I did. Jeremy Grant's the leader in usage rate. Other broadcasters, of course.
So you mentioned the offense. Yes, we know it would struggle. But did we know it would struggle to this extent, even with the injuries? And let me present to you what I found when I was looking at it, because we did all of the statistics last week. They were last in offensive rating, last in offensive points per game. I mean, damn near every major offensive category they were dragging ass. So I looked last year and I was like, okay, we played a fairly G League heavy roster last year as well, especially after Damian Lillard kind of packed it up and they said, we're shutting you down. That was after the Utah game. So last season, the Blazers failed to score 100 points just 11 times. They actually scored over 100 points 8 out of the final 10 games after Damian Lillard went down. I looked at some of those box scores. You still have some of the same familiar faces. You have Justin Minaya, Skylar Mays. They even had Kevin Knox was in the starting lineup.
Kevin Knox starts with the Pistons, bud.
Last year.
No. Kevin Knox starts.
Yes. Now he does, absolutely.
So he's a starting level caliber player.
So if you average that out, 80% over 82 games, you're only going to fail to score 100 points 16 times. How many times in 13 games do you think the Blazers have failed to score 100 points this year? Just off the top of your head.
8 or 9.
Okay, you were a little bit over. So 7 times the Blazers have failed to score 100 points. That's 58% of the time. If we're going to project that out over 82 games, that means they are going to do that 48 times over the course of an 82 game season compared to 16 last year. And Sage, they have NBA talent. You have Shaden Sharp, who's capable of getting you 20 a night. You got Jeremy Grant, 20 to 25 point per game score. DeAndre Ayton is a walking 2010 center. You've had Malcolm Brogdon for a number of games. Like I get it. You're missing Anthony Simons. You're missing Scoot Henderson, but it's not like the roster was much improved last season. So my question is, why? Why are we seeing such a significant drop offensively? Like you said it, we knew we would struggle, but to me, I was really surprised looking at those numbers because we ran out some pretty tough lineups last year, but it has absolutely been like a rock fight watching this team on offense.
I think, I mean, like, I bet in those games Matisse Thybulle didn't play extended minutes, and then so in those games last year, who was the three? Like
Justin Minaya.
God. I think a big part of it is that we're playing humongous minutes for guys that they may be able to score. You know what? Toumani can score, but the opposing defenses don't think they're dealing with the Dalen Terry effect, where in theory we can score from the 3-point line, but they don't they don't contest. So with Matisse and Toumani,
So you're saying it's more of a scouting.
no, I
That
think it's a spacing issue
because opposing coaches are now saying, just let them shoot. Where maybe last year you're saying
so
you're playing tighter.
essentially it's 3-on-5 offensively every time, because if Matisse, let's just say that, and there has been moments where this has happened, I believe in the Cleveland game, Toumani and Matisse were our wings for a few minutes. That's 3-on-5 offensively, or 8-on-3, because you just don't get the respect when you have a complete and utter non-shooter like Matisse and someone that hasn't gotten the rep from the NBA coaches yet in Toumani. And Toumani's not that high of a usage player right now. So I think that part of the reason that we were more successful is that we were just more aggressive offensively. I feel like this year we are very, very basic and kind of passive on taking shots, unless it's Jeremy Grant or Shaden Sharp. The rest of it's kind of passive. We're driving to the hoop, and what happens. So I think that it's part spacing, part risk aversion, where like if Kevin Knox is in the game and he got the type of shots that Toumani got, he's shooting. I think one of the biggest
Knox is a decent. I don't know why we let him go. I don't know why we demoted him to the G League. I think he's a better option than what
he would play minutes on this team, right?
So just for reference, the Portland at the Clippers looking to play spoiler puts up 125 points. Shaden, Kevin Knox, Skylar Mays, Trendon, Jonathan Williams, Shaq Harrison, Jabari Walker, John Butler, Justin Minaya. Kevin Knox put up 30 and 11 that game.
Yeah, I feel like
I know it's one game, but what I'm trying to get at is there has been a clear drop off, and I don't think if somebody is going to say, "Oh, it's because of injuries," I would argue that the lineups we are playing now are significantly more.
Yeah, you got Jeremy and Shaden and Da. I think that it really is. NBA clubs are just disrespecting our spacing to a disrespectful level. And I like, you even told me, like, in the game that you saw in that Cavs game, it was like, oh, they're just not even thinking about Toumani or Matisse. So I think part of it's that. And then I think, like, we're kind of playing scared offensively. Like, we're focusing on Skylar Mays, who isn't a playmaker, to be that lead guy. And like, I'm seeing people say that he's gonna get 7 assists a game. No, he's gonna get like 4. So I think if we're gonna be injured, it's time to unleash Shaden Sharp and Jeremy Grant for them to get like 37% usage. Get them some reps, get Shaden some more reps. I know Jeremy Grant's always gonna accept more usage. The Skylar Mays experiment, I think that it's proven to me at least he is a 2, not a 1 at all. And right now we don't have a guy that can handle the weight as a usage guy, unless it's Jeremy Grant or Shaden Sharp. We just don't have a guy. So put the ball in their hands, make them make a decision. I think our offense will go higher. Like I think the usage rate it went from Scoot, Malcolm, Jeremy, DA, and Shaden, and now Jeremy and Shaden and DA have most of it, but the people around them just aren't fulfilling their obligations offensively. And I
No,
think
I
that
did.
our defense will fall too, where I don't think we're going to be the Wizards bad this year, but we're going to be close.
Yeah, you're starting to see the culminative effect of playing Shaden and Jeremy heavy minutes. I believe they're both top 3. I think Shaden, last I looked, is leading the league in minutes per
Yeah.
game. You're just seeing too many minutes being put on their shoulders, and they're wearing down.
But
I
couldn't we use them more productively in the minutes that they play for them to have more
I
stats?
don't think it's appropriate to be playing them consecutively
What if
40
it
minutes.
was less minutes but more productive
Oh
minutes?
yes, I'm exactly less minutes. You need to reduce what they're going to do. I think you probably need to stagger their
Yeah.
minutes so you can let each one of them shine, because they are one of your few offensive weapons. Like I did see certain ways that they're trying to alleviate the spacing issue. I think the coaching staff is in a way partly responsible for the
Yeah,
spacing
without a
issue.
doubt.
Like I think Chris Murray, he may not give you what Tumani gives you defensively, but he can
Do
spread the
we?
floor. I think Tumani, to his credit, is more active. Chris is
Yes.
starting to get acclimated.
I think Tumani's kind of what's the opposite of risk averse? Uh,
He's
he.
conservative. He's very safe.
I
He's
think
playing
Chris
a
Murray's
little.
safe. I think Tumani. I think the fact that he
Sometimes I don't
crashed.
realize he's out there. If
Oh,
I'm like,
totally.
he
I
has a
think that.
dunk against OKC, and I was like, you have that. Where has that been?
Did you? So you don't watch any Blazers broadcasting, right?
Hell no. No
Okay.
disrespect to the broadcasters themselves or the camera crew, but like I can't do it with all the fucking ads on the screen. I've told you about the TNT.
Yeah, it's totally. So what
It's
those
madness.
broadcasters
Like
do, what they do is they highlighted the fact that uh Tumani crashes like at the 99th percentile in the league. And I feel like him crashing all the time leads to really bad defensive sets in transition when you have your 4-man going for every tip in and he doesn't get that many rebounds. Like the ones he gets are dramatic and you think
I'll tell you what that stat is and where it's originating from. It's
at
from
Dave's.
trying to be positive because you're a team employee and your team is 3-10. Like sometimes you just have to dig until you find something, because that's a Thaddeus Young type of stat where the Pacers broadcast used to put up random Thaddeus stats where he's up there with Jordan and LeBron. Because yeah, that's
Thad
exactly
Young's legitimately
that's
fine.
exactly what they're doing. But
I
back
feel
to the
like that
spacing.
type of like broadcasting got in his head. Oh, I'm crashing every time, and it leads to 3-on-2s on defense a lot. So, man, I think the defense is gonna like we had some fugazi high defensive games, and that's about to
Well,
start
it was
falling too.
opponent based, Sage.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
playing Memphis twice, right? Like you're playing Toronto, you're playing Detroit, who still hasn't won since opening weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've had a lot of you played
Cupcakes.
Utah. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you've had the NBA equivalent of a cupcake. Like I have seen some sets that they're trying to create more space. They're bringing both bigs up to meet the ball handler and kind of set like a double screen, so it gives the ball handler essentially a free runway to
Mm-hmm.
do a little bit more what they want. I just need to see more of that. I need to see
Did you feel
other
like it was
ways.
slow in high school, like though?
The bar is so low for
Yeah,
me,
yeah. I
say,
feel you.
that I'm just like, okay, that is something. But what I want to see more is, okay, the defense knows you're gonna, when Kamara and Thibault are in the game, heaven forbid they both play, which they did against Cleveland at certain points, and that was a disaster with Mobley and Allen roaming the lane. But regardless, if you're gonna have one of those two play, and I do realize that Matisse is actually shooting a very high and efficient percentage from three this year, regardless, defenses want him to take that shot. Don't just have them run down to the floor and stay parked in the corner. Have them come set some screens, have them cut through. Like, you can't give the defense the same look every single time and know, okay, I don't have to worry about if they catch and shoot off of dribble pen, that's fine. We're going to collapse on the ball handler and we're going to welcome that shot. Like, I just need to see more creativity getting these players open. Like,
I think that Chauncey Billups
correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Chauncey Billups has a damn clue how to incorporate DeAndre Ayton into this offense.
No.
Scoot Henderson is not. Like, sometimes I watch it and I see a couple of really nice pick and rolls with Shaedon. That goes away. Scoot's had some good chemistry moments with him, but then they decide against probably the best defensive big that they've seen this year in Jared Allen, okay, well, dump it into DeAndre and let him just go one-on-one. And they just ran that over and over again against Cleveland, and it had minimal success rate. So you have this really efficient big, and I just don't think he has any idea how to incorporate this guy into his offense.
I think that Chauncey Billups was expecting Scoot Henderson to just take the reins and create offense, because he does. Who is his offensive coordinator? Is it Scotty Brooks? Because it sure as fuck looks like
his brother.
Scotty Brooks was one of the most unimaginable head coaches offensively in the NBA.
He got fired, and he had 3 potential MVPs on his roster. You know how bad you have to be to get fired when you have 3.
He's MVPs? Our offensive coordinator, bro. We're not a creative offense.
No,
and then our defense is going to get exposed too.
And it's not the losing that should be impactful or bothersome. You're going to get blown out. You play 82 games. That's not the issue at all. The issue is you're not seeing any sort of growth from this coaching staff. The same things we're talking about were the same things we've been talking about since 2021. That's a problem. You've had 3 different.
It's gotten worse. It hasn't even gotten better. It's gotten worse.
Oh yeah, there's no Damian Lillard just to be like, oh yeah, give Dame the ball and let him.
And then there's no Scoot Henderson to be aggressive and get to the rim and get DA some rebound tip-in chances.
Speaking of Scoot, if you were, there was a lot of people that have been low on him for his rocky start. I think seeing how the team performs without him is a kind of a confidence boost, because you realize how easy he was starting to make things happen for some of his teammates, how just like grown up the offense felt. Like right now, like I told you on opening night, like, and this even was with Scoot playing, but I was like, this is like an AAU game at certain points. But then you started to see him in Toronto and Detroit run sets, get great chemistry with Ayton specifically, and you felt like that was just the tippy tip of the iceberg. And now you see what a drop off looks like. And I know Malcolm has played well for this team, but really Scoot was looking to distribute and getting people to their spots. And that was with him doing it with making like 2 3-pointers all season. So like once that 3 drops, I think it's going to open it up, and I think they're going to be much more enjoyable to watch. But like right now, it's I feel bad for the guys because I feel like they have no direction out there, and you can tell that when they're on offense, because a lot of times it's one pass, shoot, quick shot,
no pass.
You know those awesome highlights where you just see like dribble penetration, kick, swing, open 3. I can't recall a single time this season, not even off the top of my head, that this team has had something like that. It is very, either ISO or a one pass shot. Like there's just no rhythm. Like, you talked about listening to Cannabis on the car ride down. Like there's a flow. Like you're really into it. Like there is no rhythm, no rhyme. The beats are all off. It's just a horrible record what Chauncey Billups has right now for this Blazers offense.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning my guy. I think it's a bad scenario for everyone, because I really don't think that Shaedon is improving in these times when he has the ball in his hands, because it's so easy to hyper focus on Shaedon Sharpe when he's in. Like, if you only have to respect Shaden and Jeremy when they're in the game, you hyper focus on them defensively, make them pass the ball to someone who isn't prepared to make that decision. So even in the minutes that he's playing, I don't think he's getting better. I think that he is staying the same. Like, he's not developing any new ways to manufacture a shot. When he had actual NBA talent around him, I remember I told him about how he was peeking around DA for the shot, getting ready to, his shot prep was a lot more focused and clean. He had time to do those things. Now it's just, let's double team him on the switch, on the pick, force him to get it to one of these guys not prepared. So even I know that reps are going to help, but it's not going to help him as much as having Malcolm Brogdon, who was one of the most efficient scorers of the basketball this year. Scoot Henderson, who's the best point guard blue chip talent in the last 10. So I'm really hoping that we can get some reinforcements in so we can try and salvage the year, not by wins and losses, but by developing Shaden to taking those all-star and superstar shots, and Scoot to get ready for the NBA, because I felt like Scoot kind of was lazy with his passes. There were a lot of scaries.
The whole team's been lazy with their passes. The whole team has been.
But you see Scoot in the position where he just throws bad ones. I think that if he has those minutes, he can work through some of those lazy passes. So it's kind of just riding the wave until we get reinforcements just to develop these guys. Because right now I just don't see it that they're.
I think it's important. So one, it's crystal clear to me what the front office wants. They want a high draft pick, and you can tell that with who they're bringing in to fill the shoes. Like, right, you're getting a Bouye, you're getting Minaya, you're bumping up Skylar Mays. Those aren't, I wouldn't say, NBA rotational talent players. I think the Blazers front office needs to start getting a little bit more serious and kind of find some adults. I don't think Anthony Simons solves everything. I don't think Malcolm Brogdon might solve a little bit, but when I watch this team, one of the biggest things that stands out to me is their lack of a connector. There's no one that's connecting this team together. And regardless of your feelings on them, Josh Hart and Trendon Watford were fabulous at finding the right player to pass the ball to. And specifically the Utah game, I honed in on because there were so many missed opportunities to get Shaden Sharpe easy baskets, to get him into a rhythm, and to get his confidence going when his shot's not dropping. You look at Bouye had a 2-on-1 fast break. He just runs over his defender when he has Shaden Sharpe just trailing behind. All he had to do is just toss it up. Sharpe would have thrown it down. There's a highlight right there. Skylar Mays missed Shaden Sharpe on that patented curl play that they run all the time on the inbounds underneath the basket. Instead, it was a quarter three. The game was still close. There was a 3-on-2 fast break. Skylar Mays again. Shaden is asking for the lob, and he is right in his peripheral on his left-hand side, even a couple of steps ahead of him. Again, throw it up. You have to throw the ball out of the arena for it not to get into Shaden's hands. Instead, he throws it behind him to Dwap Reith, a big man, fumbles it, turns it over. And then lastly, Jeremy Grant had a 2-on-1 fast break in the fourth quarter. Again, when Portland was going through a major scoring drought, Sharpe's calling for a lob on the wing. Jeremy runs right into his defender instead. Offensive foul. I looked at the numbers, and this was prior to the Oklahoma City game, but last year in 1,779 minutes, Shaden had 62 dunks. That's a 3.49% dunk rate. It accounted for 10.8% of all of his field goals made. This year, in 461 minutes, he's at 13 dunks. That dunk rate drops down to 2.82%. So if you project that over 82 games, we're looking at 3,150 minutes, 3,150 minutes. If you go at the current dunk rate, 89. If you bump it up to last year's dunk rate when you had the connectors, 110. So you're missing out on 21 dunks, 42 points, which is dang near half a point per game, just off of easy plays that he's not. We're watching Shaden out there, And yes, he's getting playmaking reps. That's great. But he is a multifaceted scorer who can score on and off the ball. And a lot is being asked of him to create for himself. Last year, 55% of his 2-point field goals were, excuse me, 55% of his field goals were from two. 88% of his 3-point field goals, they were assisted. These people were handing the ball. That number drops down to 37% of his twos this year and 58% of his threes this year. That means he's having to do a lot of ISO heavy ball handling skills. He's not getting the, I know it's a product of Scoot not being there, but he's just not being able to get easy buckets, to use him off ball when he is fantastic. And I think you're getting to a point now. He had the 10 turnovers against the Lakers. That's going to happen. I do think that's what development is going to look like, but you're putting a lot on him. And when you basically take away a major skill, he's one of the best cutters in the game. I mean, you see how he attacks the rim off of offensive rebounds. Like, he just has a knack for knowing when and where to make his move. When you remove that element, like, that's a huge reason why I think the Blazers offense has been so pitiful this year, is because there's just been no assisting. And that's a reason why they are last in assists. So I think they need to, I know they're probably going to have a fire sale, probably going to get rid of Brogdon, which again, fine. But like, they need to find a veteran who will just, like a Nicholas Batum type of veteran, right? He's been in the game a while, can handle the ball, can pass. Like, you have to find someone like that, because this team they're drowning offensively. They need some adults to help out.
Goran Dragic is right, a free agent, and it's. I feel like the
you can't, because you're right. You can't go full Houston Rockets last year. You can't just have a bunch of young kids.
Yeah,
like, you need some. Dragic would have been fabulous.
Yeah, it's not it. It's simple reads that are just not being taken advantage of. Like, there's so many reads, and you listed an example of
that was just in the Utah game. Like, yeah. And clearly he's my favorite player, so I'm like, oh, throw like, and even on the radio, like, you can start to hear Travis get excited, and he's like, and you can just tell, like, it's not there. And you go back and you watch the full game, like, that's exactly what I remember hearing. And yes, it was as bad as I remember hearing.
So I think, one, the guards that we have just don't make the reads, and if we really want the development of Shaedon Sharpe and those skills, like the off-ball movement, we just need to have a guy that knows how to make simple reads. Goran Dragic, like, get Jeff Teague out of podcasting, get him on the court to just, like, Jameer Nelson. I know he's way too old for it, but just like a guy to make simple reads, I think that makes Shaedon's life a lot easier. But it's kind of confirmed to me that these guys that they're bringing in just aren't capable of doing what needs to be done in order to highlight Shaedon Sharpe right now. And that's the goal. That's the goal for.
I also think it's not doing Jeremy Grant any favors either.
No, you're putting him in bad situations, but
because I've been critical on Jeremy, but I specifically watched this week. He does get a lot of grenades passed his way.
Oh, fuck yeah, he does.
And like, there are some plays that stand out, and I cringe, but this week it wasn't too bad. And you start to realize
it's like one or two a game. It's not a consistent thing. It's just like, oh, he has to do this because we don't really have a point guard. And I get your thing about the connectors, but connectors are only good when the defense is rotating and reacting. We don't have any person right now that's making the defense rotate and react to what they're doing outside of Shaedon Sharpe, but really it's hyper focus on him. And same with Jeremy Grant. We need to get a guy that can go downhill and make a pass, because that's what our offense is based upon. When you look at what Malcolm Brogdon did, we need to get somebody downhill that can make a pass. And right now,
this team has quite a few holes. It's just like, you got to find something and then you move on to the next. You can't just go to the store and say, I need everything.
I think a legitimate backup, like a legitimate vet, helps Shaden and Jeremy a lot more than finding some starting small forward. Like, we need somebody to get this offense going, and if Scoot is going to take a while to recover from the ankle,
It sounds like he could be back sooner than later, which is fabulous.
that's great. But we just need to get some downhill movement, because it's not helping anybody right now with offense, and then defense is gonna it's gonna look bad a lot of these games. So I'm just assuming that our numbers are gonna just drop down so much after that one Thunder game. So it really is like, and this is for our scouting and watching NBA now. Look at the ceiling plays, look at those highlight plays, and just imagine them being more consistent with better players around them. Because right now, like, I look at these college players and I just have to be like, okay, I'm going to look at what they do that is successful and think about if this can be successful in the next level. You kind of have that, you have to have that eye when you're watching this team. Take those small victories and then build upon them. You don't think of this team as any sort of finished project. This is a we're just starting to build that foundation. So hyper focus on those ceiling and highlight plays. Like, I remember you talking about Sebastian Telfair throwing a behind the back pass to Ha-Seong Jin. That's the type of shit you have to look forward to, not getting the snot beat out of you against the Thunder in November. That's not going to help. But focus on those plays where it's like high level basketball. And that is my advice for this year in the scouting realm, because you have to be on your head, you have to be on your toes for all of these players that are coming out, and you have to be on your toes for, you know what, Shaden manipulated the screen, peeked behind DeAndre Ayton, hit a three that was the dagger. That's the type of shit we should focus on as fans, not the fact that we let players set screens to get positive matchups and we do nothing to fight that.
On a positive note, I've been pleasantly surprised with Walker Reith as the backup center. I love having a floor spacer who, it doesn't feel like it's forced. Like when Nurk started shooting threes, I'm like, this doesn't pass my smell test. When Reith is out, I'm like, okay, it's fluid, it's quick, it's decisive. I'm given the tone of this offense, I'll take that as a shot attempt.
I feel like they kind of forced the pass to Reith because he takes a long time to load up. He needs the runway. And I feel like in those minutes where he's on the floor, we're like hyper focused. Reith's right there, I'm going to get him the shot. And then he takes his long load up time.
I tell you what, he kept us in that Cleveland game for a long time because that was an ugly game.
And then the Cleveland's like, hey, this dude can shoot. Let's rotate fast. And then
also Donovan Mitchell decided to take over too.
Donovan's fucking good. That whole team's fucking good.
But like, as kind of a hidden gem coming out of nowhere, like
I have no problem with him being our backup big.
Nope, I like the guy.
The fact that he had spacing, that's gonna help Scoot and Shaden.
Yes. Yeah, and he's a mobile big. He's not too stiff out there.
But we should not let him be on a point guard ever on that switch. So the guard that's defending the point guard in a pick and roll situation, let's not put Reith in that situation.
Whether it's Terry or Chauncey, the modern Blazers have switched way too easily.
And we've had tough guys do the switch. So now when Skylar does it, I feel bad for our centers having to guard these waterbug quick point guards.
All right, let's get into this week's slate of games. They go to Phoenix Tuesday for the last in-season tournament game. Wednesday, another Wednesday, back-to-back. This time they're home for a quick trip against the Utah Jazz. And Sunday they head out for a 5-game road trip. We will talk about the first two, a rematch with not a rematch, but the first time seeing Dame Lillard in a Bucks uniform taking on Milwaukee on November 26th. Then Monday, a back-to-back against Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers. Sage, it's starting to get a little hot when terms about the competition, and hopefully we don't see a repeat of OKC this week, but there are no promises because
It's not a non-zero chance that we don't just get smoked.
a tough schedule. Let's start with Phoenix. Bradley Beal out for a few more weeks, starting to feel a lot like the Brooklyn Nets with KD, Kyrie, and Harden. They can never get those three on the court at the same time. It does appear that Malcolm Brogdon will return. And this is a Phoenix team that Portland saw twice in the preseason, but obviously preseason and regular season are much different. Going to be interested to see just the body language, performance, how DA looks. Is he geeked up for it? Is he pressing? How does he perform? Because he has always been, since he's been arrived in Portland, he's played it very coy when it came to the Phoenix Suns, but I'll be interested to see how he actually like physically looks out there. Like, is he locked in, or is he just like not ready for the moment? Because this whether he'll admit or not, I think this is a big game for him.
This is going to be emotional for sure. One thing that I tweeted this. Have you noticed how well Eric Gordon fits in with these players? Like,
I mean, Eric Gordon, Grayson Allen. I mean, Grayson Allen hit a big three for the Suns.
I want to highlight an Eric Gordon though. In the time left,
I'm surprised. Eric Gordon is your arch nemesis.
I fucking hate Eric Gordon, but I still play him in DFS, so I don't hate him as much as I once did. But what Eric Gordon does and what Malcolm Brogdon does could be really similar. I would love to scale Malcolm down and have him play that Eric Gordon role for us, like the fucking vet heat seeker missile type shooter. Eric Gordon dribbles the ball more than I would prefer to see, but like he has like a very nice scaled down version of what Malcolm Brogdon could do for us. I would love it if we could just steal the tape on the Phoenix Suns. Malcolm, this is what we want you to do for these times you're here. You already have this amazing points per possession number. Let's get you to show off that you can still catch and shoot at a high level. So when I watched the Suns, because I do for DFS, I'm like, damn.
It was the Utah game, their most recent game, where Grayson Allen hit that double overtime, really fun game. Grayson Allen hit that dagger three for them.
Okay, well, yeah, I would love to see what we could do if we put Malcolm in that Eric Gordon role. For the Suns, I just don't know how we possibly could stop Kevin Durant, and if Booker's playing, I just think one of those two is going to have like a 45-point burger on us. Like we're just not prepared defensively. I hope that DA can outplay Yusuf, but I really don't think that Yusuf's going to have a humongous part in this rotation when the Suns are actually good. So if DA can just show and prove that he is worth the salary and the time and the commitment that we have to him, I think that would be a major victory for the Portland Trailblazers.
I wish Portland was at full strength for this one, because this is the type of team that you want to play early on.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix is just 7-6 on the year. They have won 3 straight, but they're subpar 2-4 at home, so they have not been protecting home court. But this is not a full strength Blazer team, far from it. And I think Frank Vogel is a couple of tiers ahead of Chauncey Billups when it comes down to it. The Blazers did stun Phoenix last year. I believe Dame and didn't play, and Jeremy hit that crazy buzzer beating shot. I don't foresee that in the cards. I think Phoenix takes this one quite handily. I think if the Blazers don't get a victory soon, it starts wearing on you, regardless of especially if you're losing by bigger margins. If you're keeping it close, that's something to kind of, it's a little bit of a more morale boost. But when you're getting hammered, that can start to, like, you don't look forward to the games. You just want them to be over with. Like there's just no juice that you have.
Mm.
Phoenix is a team that can take the juice right out of you, like right off the bat. Like the thing that I'm going to be most interested in is watching how Shaden Sharp defends Bradley Beal, and I want to
You
see.
mean Book?
Yes, excuse me, Devin Booker. Shaden has been committing some really silly fouls,
Do you
and
think that he's playing 45 minutes a game?
I think a lot of it has to do with the minutes per game. Um, I just want to see if he's able to stay grounded. Book loves to throw a lot of head fakes in there, a lot
All
of
fixed head fakes.
hesitations.
Yeah.
Yep. Pump fakes, especially when he gets the ball in the pivot. So, how disciplined can he stay? And I think with what you said, you just want to see a couple of plays that you can hold on to that can kind of keep you warm during these cold winter nights.
Like if there's a pick and roll where DA's rolling and Devin Booker is on that help side, if DA can just blam it on Book, that we won that game, even though we actually lost.
I think a big issue for the Blazers and DeAndre Ayton is right now, Shaden Sharp is the only one capable of making a legitimate entry pass. I specifically remember the Utah game, and they're trying to front him. DA has a beautiful seal. Basically, you just need to throw like a wide receiver over the shoulder.
Mhm.
Shaden made a beautiful pass, and it was an easy two for DeAndre. Every other time, like they just do not know how to get him the ball. Like it's I don't know if it's some weird Portland thing because when Dame was here, we were terrible throwing lobs, but like he's got pretty dang good hands. He's mobile.
Mhm.
Like when he's got a seal, when he's got a mouse in the house, a mismatch, and those do happen for us on occasion. You got to make it pay. But that's a long way of saying Phoenix is probably going to win, and I think they win big
I think Chris Murray's our second best passer.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he made a couple of skip passes in the
Yeah,
Cleveland
he
game.
made a skip pass, bro. And I'm like, oh, well, goodbye, Skylar Mays. Yeah, hello, Chris Murray. Welcome to our new point guard. I mean, Doug, a skip pass has gotten me like, oh, bro, if Chris Murray can develop some passing, we're in trouble when he plays 12 minutes a game.
Do you have win or loss?
Oh, we're going to lose bad.
Okay. I agree. The Utah Jazz come into town. They have been fairly competitive recently. As I mentioned, they took Phoenix to double overtime. Obviously, basically wiped us off the floor in that fourth quarter. They lost to Phoenix twice at home by a combined 6 points. They've been pretty.
Is Walker healthy
steady.
yet?
No, Walker Kessler will not play, but
John Collins is doing.
I did not expect John Collins to be that smooth shooting the three. This will be both teams.
Have you
will be
seen the
playing-
photos of his hand injuries in Atlanta?
No, I was going to
They're
say
disgusting. Don't look. I think that he
both
finally
both
recovered
both
his hand.
teams both teams will be on the second night of a back to back. Both teams will be traveling into Portland, so no advantage either way. But it will be interesting to see how they incorporate Walker Kessler because they're probably going to start him, and I don't know how well either Lowry or JC will work at the three. But that is for another day, another problem for the Jazz. They are starting rookie guard Keontae George.
He
Who
looks
pretty
like
smooth.
legit.
The key when you're playing this version of the Utah Jazz is always going to be Jordan Clarkson. He got off to a blistering start in the first meeting in Salt Lake City, and he really never cooled off. It was a touch and go game, and then Portland just went dry. Like they had nothing in the tank.
We'll have Malcolm this game, right?
We should have Malcolm this game.
And we're gonna project Scoot out for this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least for these, for the week, I would project him out.
I think if Scoot was healthy, I think we actually would legitimately have a chance to win. But if we're running Malcolm Brogdon, Skylar Mays as our ball handlers, I just think that one, we are losing in the coaching department, and two, we're just going to lose in the guard department. If Skylar Mays has a big impact in this game, that's not going to be particularly good for the Portland Trailblazers in terms of winning a basketball game. So I'm going to have the Utah Jazz getting this dub.
I have the this is a tough one. This is probably the only game I think the
This is
Blazers
the
have.
winnable game.
This is a winnable game for a while. Like if you don't get this one, you're starting to look at a double-digit losing streak, and then you're really starting to
Well, if
get
you were
focused on
Vegas, where would you have the line at? Like who's the favored?
whatever point margin you give the home team. That's what it like in football. It's 3.5.
Mm.
So I would say probably give Portland a slight edge because
Okay.
they're at home, but it feels like in the modern NBA, home court advantage isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk's been a pest. He was a
Oh yeah,
pest in
absolutely.
that last game. Portland needs somebody to match his energy. Is it Jabari Walker? Is it Reith? Like
Is it
somebody
Tumani?
has maybe Tumani. I need to see more from Kamara. Like what I've noticed is you talk about Reith have taking a long time to shoot. Kamara has to be perfectly set and he needs a few feet
He
of space
yeah, he needs
because
that runway.
it takes him a while to load up. It's a slow moving shot. He can't shoot off the dribble and he can't shoot off movement. So, I mean, you're really looking at like a standstill shooter. And if you're a defender, you know that. So all you have to do is just make him take another dribble, take a step, like close out just a little bit quicker because you know he's going to take a while to get that shot off.
What if he got into his because I don't think I see Jabari and I see Chris with their hands up in the shooting pocket. If he got his hands into his shooting pocket, I think it speeds his shot up immensely.
It should be. It should be. It's a nice looking shot. It's
It
not
just
ugly
takes
at
a
all.
long, it's a load time issue. But I
I
think
think
if he was ready to shoot the ball at times, I think the load up would be fast enough for him to not be swallowed up by a good rotation.
yeah, I want to see more from Tumani specifically on the offensive end. Whether that's just like taking a couple of dribbles, maybe like it just seems like he gets the ball and he's passing it right back, or he's doing a catch and shoot, like, or he's just not even touching the ball. Like I said,
Is he Tony
it
Snell
really
like?
does. He had a Tony Snell stat line, the infamous 0 0 0 0 0 for most of that Cleveland game, and he was starting like I'm not a big Matisse fan, but
At least he
he was
does
at
something.
least
Yeah.
he's at least hitting 40% of his threes.
You know what's
And
crazy? So I looked at Tony Snell's like usage rate. Tumani's like 300% below Tony Snell. Do you believe it? Because I kind of do.
no, like
Yeah.
Sage, when I'm telling you I watch games and I forget that he's on the court, it's absolutely the case. Like I don't know if he needs to cut more. I don't know if it's Billups telling him just to stay parked in the corner. I haven't really seen him out on a fast break. Like I just need more. Um
I think it's a decision making thing as well. Like he's very slow to make a decision, right? Bad or correct. He's a very slow decision maker on in that corner where you see Keegan Murray make that split decision. You see Chris Murray make a split decision. He doesn't have those reps to like. I have a decision to make here. I either shoot it or pass it. I'm gonna take my time. It just needs to be. He needs to rep it out.
I think Portland gets the victory here if Malcolm plays.
Okay,
I think
I'll take that.
both teams are coming off of back to back, and I think they realize this is probably their chance for victory because I'll tell you right now, Sage, they're not beating Milwaukee and they're not beating Indiana. I mean, if you want to go into any detail in those games, I know
Oh
Milwaukee's
hell yeah, let's do it. I'm not talking about the Milwaukee one. It's way too easy. We're gonna
they're
get
10-4, won 5 in a row. They're starting to find their groove. Obviously, they have the Dame Giannis duo.
it's
I
it's a battle. I want to talk about Indiana though.
Indiana is 7-5. I believe they lead the league in points per game at
Mhm.
125.7. They also give up 128
Yep.
point 123.8 points per game. They are 5-3 at home, and they have, I think, arguably one of the best young point guards in the game with Tyrese Halliburton.
He
Some
doesn't turn over the damn
flamethrowers,
ball. Yeah.
some flamethrowers in Buddy Hield and Benedict Mathurin. Miles Turner gets biz. Bruce Brown has been really taking his game to
Oh,
another
absolutely.
level with the Pacers this year. Tyrese Halliburton, like if I'm Scoot, I hope he plays, but if I hope he is watching because Tyrese,
is Tyrese the guy that you would tell Scoot to watch?
yeah, I mean he had a 2 game stretch where I think he had like
58 assists, 0 turns. Yeah.
yeah 50 just 0 turnovers,
Mm-hmm.
58 assists.
It must be nice to have all the spacing you could possibly want and play the point guard position, because I feel bad for our point guards having to deal
Like
with. Yeah.
I love De'Aaron Fox, and I thought he was much better than I thought he was, especially in that playoff series against the Warriors last year. The Kings made the wrong decision. They should have kept Tyrese Halliburton. That's how good and special he is. Like when you talk about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, keep Tyrese Halliburton in that same breath when you talk about young lead guards, because he's up there. The shot may look funky, but it's deadly.
But I think that I don't know who the hell is going to start for this game because it's impossible to predict, a week out. But I think that if we don't succeed offensively against the worst team defensively, we have some serious issues that we need to
You've got
address
some
on those.
serious
Yeah.
internal questions.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's the lane's free, shots are free. We have to produce offensively in this game. If we lose, I don't care. We have to score 100 points.
Yeah, this will be the second out of a back-to-back as well. I think this, of all of the games, has the potential to get out of hand like the Oklahoma City game, just because of the pace that Indiana wants to play at, the shooting that they provide. Like we talked about Portland's defensive numbers looking better, but also at the time the opponents weren't the caliber offensively, and we were giving up a lot of open looks from the perimeter. Indiana's a team that, unless they're really having an off night, is going to make you pay, and they'll do it time and time again.
Absolutely. And do you have anything else you want to talk about regarding the Blazers, or should we wrap this
You have
bad
to
boy?
pee.
How'd you know?
Just go pee really quick. Yeah, I want to talk about the Warriors.
Okay, I'll be right back. All right, let's talk about these Warriors.
All right, real quick before we wrap this up, keep in mind the Blazers own a top 4 protected Warriors 2024 pick, and they are performing below where I had them this year. Currently, I believe they are sub 500. If it's tankathon standing, so obviously it's not exact, but Portland would have their own pick at number 4, and they would also have a lottery pick number 12 from the Warriors. So when you're doing scouting, don't just look at the top players. Portland could potentially have a pick in the teens where maybe not a lot of people thought that. So I know we got some tough news with Robert Williams going out for the year, and that was one of the assets that we got in return for the Jrue Holiday trade. But also that Warriors pick came over in that Jrue trade with the Celtics as well. And whether Portland uses that pick for themselves or they identify another young player that they want to use to trade for it, that just gives Portland more options. So again, it's more like you have two potential lottery picks to scout for. The more the merrier. It just really, I think, expands the prospects to
Oh,
kind of
it
key
totally
in on.
expands the pool for sure. So can we talk about who we're gonna do our deep dive on the future Fridays on? Because you
Yes.
told me about this player before I got a chance to really look at him, and Nikola Topic is
So
one
you have Nikola Jokic for the Nuggets. You
joke.
have Nikola Jovic for the Heat. Now we will soon introduce you to Nikola Topic, who is a 6'6" lead playmaker overseas. And Sage, very intrigued with the
His
early.
slashing would be a complete and utter problem in this league because he gets so skinny when he drives. It's pretty amazing. The person that I would comp the way that he gets the basket to is Bradley Beal, because Bradley just gets incredibly skinny when he is penetrating. And I think the patience offensively that Topic has is pretty incredible. So a
Yep.
very high tier prospect. One huge weakness, but we can get into that on the episode dedicated to him. But are we good, or do you have
We're good.
anything?
I just wanted, yeah, to some positivity. We do have another draft pick. Like it's, hey, rebuilding is tough. All I ask for is effort, and you need to see development, and you need to see the product on the court. It's going to be great some nights. It's going to be mediocre some nights, and it's going to be downright unwatchable on
Mhm.
some nights. That's not what's important. It's, are you seeing how are you seeing different ways to get Portland more spacing? Are you seeing them fight? Is there camaraderie? Is there ball movement? Are they just trying new things? Like I think every rational Blazer fan can say that this roster is not a finished product. It's really not what it should be from a injury standpoint either, like a healthy roster. So you're definitely going into games with one hand tied behind your back most nights, but are you making the same mistakes over and over again, or are you figuring out ways to get Shaden off ball? Are you figuring out ways to make Tumani more incorporated in the offense? Can you get DeAndre the ball? Can you make it so Jeremy doesn't have to have such a huge role with the ball in his hands? Can you get him open like you can get Shaden? Like, can you just find different ways to basically address the problem? Is, how do we get the ball in the basket? That's Portland's major problem right now. How are we attacking that problem? Are you just doing the same thing over and over again? Or are you trying something new? Are you finding some solutions that you can build upon when you get your reinforcements down the line?
Could you imagine our passing levels if we had Scoot and Topic?
I mean, you kind of, so the reason why, really quick, why I am intrigued with Topic is you see the success that the Thunder are having with Giddey and Gilgeous-Alexander. They've got an untraditional lineup, and Giddey is maybe one of the most untraditional players in this game, but they make it work. And that's where it's like, okay, he's 6'6", so you have some defensive, like once he grows into his frame, like you've got some size out there. You're not losing anything height wise. You add another playmaker, like you can start to get
And
a little bit.
I gotta stop you here. Don't ever say Nikola Topic and defense in a positive light, because he is one of the worst I've seen.
I said develop into, actually I didn't say defense, I said size, 6'6" size.
No, you said the word defense, and he doesn't deserve that because he's real bad. That the one humongous weakness that I talked about, my man
Well,
can't
he's
defend
six
shit.
six. You can hide a 6'6" bad defender.
All right. Well, we will talk about this once I get back from this Thanksgiving vacation, and we'll go into a real deep dive of Nikola Topic. So thank you all for listening. We will be back in a week, maybe sooner, talking about some draft stuff. Thank you all for listening. We are out of here. I will remember to edit out my pee break, and I will get this out tomorrow, probably. Peace.
Night, bud.